York's classic rock, Q1043.
It's 8:05, and Michael Imperioli is here with us in the studio at Q104.3. Good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Hey, before we get into the gazillion new things that you're doing, because you're always doing new stuff,
Yeah.
there's a question I have about some old stuff
Okay.
that's just been on my mind.
Okay.
Now, everybody who spends time with us in the morning knows that I have loved Law and Order in all of its variations from the very first episode. And you were on Law and Order for a while, kind of as a temporary.
Yeah.
But you had full star billing.
Right.
You had full, so you were on. It was a temporary. It was a beginning and an end date
Right.
that you came in there for, and but you had the full star billing. You know, with your face up there at the beginning while that great theme is going.
Right.
And you did the walk.
I did the walk.
You did the walk. Now with Law and Order SVU, they don't do a walk; they do a stand. But on the original Law and Order, which they call the mothership,
Right.
they do the walk. And it started with the very, very first episode. And as they went through all the cast changes through the years, different people would do the walk. But the walk was still the walk.
That's true.
And what must it have been like for you to film that little scene, the walk?
The walk. We actually filmed the walk. Was this, thing on the stage at Chelsea Piers there. Yeah, Law and Order is such an iconic show and has been such a backbone for New York actors, especially New York theater actors. If you go see a Broadway show, pretty much everybody in the cast has Law and Order, one of the Law and Orders, as a credit.
Yeah, when you read the playbill, you see it there.
I mean, Law and Order has been really important to keeping New York actors working and starting careers and giving them opportunities between plays or between indie films, if that's what you're doing. So it was I got lucky because Jesse Martin, who's a friend of mine, was the star at the time, and
also a great theater actor.
Well,
Whoa.
that's why he
what
went.
a great theater actor.
He left to do the film version of Rent, which he originated on Broadway.
Yeah.
So he said, "Do you want to come and and substitute while I'm away?" And I said, "Yeah." So that's how that happened.
Oh,
it was kind of in between Soprano seasons.
And you had it was during this when the Sopranos was on.
Yeah.
And it was how many episodes?
I think I did 6 or 8. So,
but the thing is, you got the full star billing. You
Yeah.
got the graphics and everything. I mean, it wasn't like you were just a substitute.
No, they were very generous and kind.
I mean, I got a big kick out of that.
It was cool. It was fun.
Yeah, that was.
It was with I worked a lot with Dennis Farina, who was a wonderful actor. He was fantastic.
Well, you go back all the way to the very beginning. With George Zunza, or
and Jerry and
I mean, it was just
Jerry Orbach, who was amazing.
I mean, a lot of awesome actors, and you're right. The co-stars, the guest stars, even the bit parts. Those were lifelines for New York actors.
Still to this
Would
day.
you do it again?
Yeah. It's always fun doing that show. I mean, it goes. I get a kick out of watching it because I know so many actors because I've been doing this for a long time, and I like watching the old ones and see who pops up that I know. Oh, there's John Ventimiglia, and there's Nick Sandow, and there's it's fun watching that.
Well, we have 3 of our on-air people here at Q104.3 have been on Law and Order shows. Ken Dashow, Mark Coppola, and Ian O'Malley.
Ian played a judge. I remember that.
Right. I remember seeing Ken, too. That's right.
Yeah, Ken did a good job.
Was he on the SVU, or he was?
I think he was SVU.
SVU.
What did he play? What was his role?
Oh, it's kind of hard to describe, but he did a good job.
Okay.
I remember watching and being impressed. I was saying.
Do you call him if the rerun comes on and say, "Ken, you're on again"?
You got your checks in the mail.
Because this is all Jim watches,
Well, yeah,
he loves it.
I just have always loved that show. Now you've got a new show.
Yeah.
And it's called This Fool.
This Fool. That's the name of it.
What's the story?
This Fool takes place in South Central L.A., and it's based on Chris Estrada's an LA comic. It's based on his life. He grew up in his family. There were guys who were in gangs and went to jail and came out, and it's a comedy about that process of coming out of jail and rehabilitating your life. I mean, it doesn't sound funny, but it actually is. I play Minister Payne, who runs Hugs Not Thugs, which is a organization that helps reintegrate, people who were incarcerated into society. And we make cupcakes, really good ones.
Cupcakes.
And it's a really, really smart, really fun comedy with a lot of heart. And it really upends people's stereotypes about a certain part of our world in our country. And because Chris comes from that world, Chris Estrada, it's really authentic, has a lot of heart, and it's really, really, really funny. It's on Hulu right now.
And I see that one of the executive producers is Fred Armisen.
Fred Armisen.
Fred's a good actor.
Wow.
Fred's in one of the episodes, and he plays a billionaire who comes to help us out. He help out the Hugs Not Thugs organization, and Fred is hilarious.
And this was shot in L.A.?
Shot in L.A., yeah. And Frankie Quinones plays Luis, who's the cousin that gets out of jail, and he's a great comedian himself, and he's wonderful in this. And it's a lot of fun. It's really
And
good.
this is, ABC produced it. It's Hulu. It's
Hulu.
on Hulu.
It's on Hulu. It's all 10 episodes of streaming right now.
Yeah, it's a Hulu original comedy
Good, something
series.
to add to my list.
Yeah.
And it's called This Fool. I have one more TV question.
Go ahead.
Because you not only are an actor, you're also a writer and a director. And you've directed episodic television that you are a cast member of.
I wrote. I didn't direct.
You didn't direct?
Yet.
Okay, you
I
wrote.
wrote. Yeah.
You
I
wrote.
directed a movie, but never on TV.
And you've directed theater.
a lot of theater.
And you've
yeah.
directed theater
Yeah.
as well. I'm just wondering what it's like to have more than one job on a show. Like if you write an episode and you're in it, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just like a whole different thing.
Well, on The Sopranos, my castmates were trying to find out what I was writing and what was going to happen to them and if they were going to survive the episode and stuff like that. Because you never knew on The Sopranos if you were going to survive.
So are you a good poker player?
Of course.
Yeah?
I don't talk, We're tight-lipped around The
Well,
Sopranos.
did The Sopranos have a writer's room where you
Yes.
were gathered together?
Yes, very much so.
And
Yeah,
And
that's-
nobody bugged the room?
They should have, right? They should have,
Right?
At some point, towards the end, they had to really keep things under. Not everyone got the full script. You would just get scenes that you were in, because the press really wanted to know how things were going to wrap up.
right.
Wait
And
a
they
minute. So the ending,
Yeah.
all dead or not, to you?
I go back and forth. I have no idea. Now I'm just like, what you see is what you get. That's it. It's like the end of a book. You know what I mean? It's just like,
Well, I like the beginning of the last episode more than I like the end
Well,
of the last
course
episode.
you did. That was you.
that was the
Come on.
first words on the last episode of Sopranos is
Jim
uttered
Kerr.
by our own
That's
Jim
right.
Kerr.
Okay, the band, ZOPA.
Yes.
Bowery Ballroom, Thursday. BoweryBallroom.com for info. Tickets are just $20, and that's on Delancey Street. That's one of the best known rock venues in town.
Yeah, it's going to be a great night of New York indie rock. We have the Mystery Lights and CT Hustle, two other great New York bands, and our band ZOPA's playing. There's some special guests we're going to have. And Bowery Ballroom, one of the great rock venues in the country. So come down if you're into New York rock and roll.
They have a nice bar too.
They have a great bar.
Yeah, they do. They have a nice bar at the Bowery Ballroom.
Yeah.
And about how long is your set?
Oh, about an hour.
About an hour.
Yeah.
And is it all stuff that you guys have just created on your own, or do you throw in some
Covers.
It's
of
mostly
your personal favorites?
It's mostly originals. We do one kind of cover medley in honor of one of our favorite, in honor of Lou Reed, who was a friend of ours and one of our favorites. So we do one little tribute to him, but mostly it's original music. Yeah.
Okay, so you were a Velvet Underground fan.
Oh yeah, and a Lou fan, and Lou was a friend for a while. So we miss him.
Well, where did you go to school?
I went to acting school at the Lee Strasberg Institute on 15th Street.
I mean school.
High school?
Kids school.
Growing up, school.
Oh, I grew up in Mount Vernon, New York, and then I lived upstate a little ways when I was in high school in a place called Brewster. And then when I was 17, I was here in the city going to acting school.
Okay, so when you were a kid before you went to acting school,
Yeah.
Who were your favorite bands or singers or?
The first album I ever bought as a kid was A Night at the Opera.
Oh, okay.
Because I heard Bohemian Rhapsody on the radio when I was like 10, and I was like, what is that? I mean, it was unlike anything I had heard on the radio. It was so original and so mysterious and scary and intense, and I went out and bought that album. I was a huge Beatles fan. I mean, the Beatles were kind of everything to me for a long time, for a lot of people. It's just if you connect with them as a kid, I think that's a good start in building a taste for music. You can't really go wrong there.
Well, A Night at the Opera, that's a good first album.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good one, yeah.
That is. Okay, we'll be back in a little while. It's time to find out what's going on in the world. We have to check in on the news.
Go ahead.
Okay, but just remember, ZOPA, Bowery Ballroom, Thursday night, $20. That's on Delancey Street. You can go to zopa.bandcamp.com to get all the info about the band. And they've got special merch and all kinds of cool stuff at that site. We'll be back to find out about the next thing that he's doing.
All right.
After the news. Sarah Smith and Sweet Emotion. I just noticed on today's calendar that it's National Roller Coaster Day. I forgot to mention that earlier in the morning.
Do you still like? You don't like?
I don't like roller coasters.
I like.
I'm a voyeur. I just like to watch.
People scream.
Yeah, I just, if I'm with somebody, let them go on the roller coaster. I'll just stand there and watch.
That's true. All our trips to Disney.
I've watched you on a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Yeah. And our assorted producers through the years.
And the newest ones where you're upside down and inside out. You said, go, Shelley.
Right.
Go.
I have no interest at all in that. I just like to watch. That's all. Michael Imperioli.
Isn't he peculiar,
looking
Michael?
At me like I'm
It's all
nuts.
good. No.
Do you like roller coasters?
No.
No, I don't like roller coasters. I just don't. Okay, good. Somebody
for me.
else. Not for me either. Okay, so we already mentioned the new TV show, This Fool, which is now streaming on Hulu. And you play a minister who deals with people who are coming out of jail, and you help get their lives together, people who live the gang life.
Yeah.
And we also mentioned that your band, very popular band, ZOPA, headlines at the Bowery Ballroom this Thursday. BoweryBallroom.com. Tickets are $20. Of course, the Bowery Ballroom's on Delancey Street. And there's more, because your very successful tour with Steve Sharippa continues.
Yeah, it's Steve Sharippa and Vincent Pastore, who played Big Pussy, Conversations with the Sopranos, everything you ever wanted to know about the Sopranos. We will tell you behind the scenes. We will take questions from the audience. You could ask us whatever you want. And it's in New Jersey. So the Sopranos in
Perfect.
New Jersey, how can you... If
Resist
you're a fan, you got to come.
Well, you've taken this show on the road. It's sold out all over the place. It even sold out in Australia.
Yeah, we toured Australia with this show. Yeah.
Now, this is going to be at the Count Basie Theater. This is Saturday, September 10th at 8 p.m. Count Basie Theater, now known officially as the Hackensack Meridian Theater at Count Basie. But, the Count Basie Theater. And that's Saturday, September 10th, 8 p.m. And you do the Q&A with the audience, but I know people who have seen this show, and they say there's a lot of comedy.
Yeah. Well, The Sopranos was half a comedy. I mean, people always say it was a drama, but a lot of The Sopranos was hilarious,
In a very dark way.
In a very dark way, and we lean into the comedy. We tell some stories that are funny and behind the scenes stuff. It does get poignant because we lost Jim a while ago, and we recently lost Tony Sirico. So we'll talk about those. Those guys were some of our closest friends and colleagues. So it does get a little emotional, but we try to keep it fun and lean into the comedy of it.
Well, Tony had that real tough guy image, and anytime he was out in public, he was just impeccably dressed.
Oh yeah,
all the time. He had the handkerchief in the pocket with his suits, and just always impeccably dressed. But even when dressed to the nines, he still had that tough guy image. But the way that I knew him, and I knew him before The Sopranos, was from the charity circuit here in town. He would show up and volunteer at so many charitable functions, especially for HeartShare Human Services. I mean, this was a generous, kind-hearted man.
Yeah, and St. Jude's Children's Hospital and the Wounded Warriors. Those are big ones for Tony Sirico. He really, he was a tough guy. Or he was a real tough guy. I mean, he came from the streets.
Right, but with a heart of gold.
And he went to prison at one time, and while he was in prison, there was this traveling troupe of actors who put on a play. The Theater of the Forgotten, it was called. And he watched it and he goes, I can do that. And he gave up his life of, crime and whatever and just became an actor. And that was it, never turned back. And wanted to give back.
Story.
Yeah.
And so this takes place 8 p.m. on Saturday, September 10th at the Count Basie Theater. And, we have a guy who works here in our company security department. He saw the show at the St. George Theater in Staten Island.
Yeah, Chris.
Ago.
Yeah, he saw us at the St. George.
Yeah, and he was he raving about what
cool.
a great experience and a great night it was.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a Soprano fan, you're going to have a great time.
Okay, and is there anything that I'm forgetting that's going on in your very busy life?
The White Lotus on HBO, season 2 in October.
I'm so excited because I love season 1.
Shot in Sicily, the homeland. It was really fun.
Forgot about the White Lotus.
Yeah.
How could you forget about the White Lotus?
I don't know. I forgot about the White Lotus.
You forgot the White Lotus.
Not till October, but it's coming.
Well, that's another big, giant show. That's another huge hit show.
It's a good one, yeah.
Well, thank you. As always, we always love it when you come visit with us.
We do.
Pleasure.
Here at Q104.3.
New York's classic rock, Q1043.